Hi, I'm Damon Hewitt, President and Executive Director of the Lawyers Committee for Civil Rights Under Law.
I'm Kimiya Factory, Senior National Coordinator of Election Protection with the Lawyers Committee for Civil Rights Under Law.
My name is Marcia Johnson, and I co-direct the Voting Rights Project at the Lawyers Committee for Civil Rights Under Law. And we're here with Ebony.
The Lawyers Committee was born in the fires of the Civil Rights Movement. It was 1963. There were massive emerging protests all around the country fighting for our rights, for voting rights, for educational opportunity, for economic opportunity, just to make all the promises that we have on paper for democracy real. And it was that summer, that pivotal summer of '63, when George Wallace, governor of Alabama, stood in the schoolhouse door to block integration. President Kennedy called for civil rights legislation that would become the Civil Rights Act of '64. And Medgar Evers was assassinated in the driveway of his own home. All of those things happened within about a 2-day span. And then President Kennedy convened a meeting. He asked, where are the lawyers? And nearly 250 lawyers came and answered the call. That became the Lawyers Committee for Civil Rights Under Law. We became the strategic home base for racial justice and civil rights pro bono work, and we continue to do that work today. The Lawyers Committee has been working on voting rights since our inception, but it's important to remember, as long as there have been elections in this country, there's been racial discrimination in voting. There's two choices. You make it easier for people to vote or harder. And so many states are making it harder for people to vote.
When you talk about voting rights and fighting for voting rights across the country, I can't help but think of my home state, Texas, a majority minority state, and the direct implications of sweeping legislation like Senate Bill 1, which entails a wide range of restrictions for Texas voters, directly resulting in a decrease of election judges and poll workers.
I couldn't agree more, Kimiya. You know, you being based in Texas, a Texas native, and me, Louisiana native, these are the kind of states, among others, that are really in the belly of the beast.
The reason that they're trying to discourage people from voting is that because elections are won only on the margins, they're won by 1%, 2%. So if we can discourage those few people from being able to vote, then it could affect the outcomes of elections. What has been an unfortunate trend that we've been seeing is then we have states, you talk about Texas and Louisiana and others like Georgia, who then look at how particularly Black people access the ballot and then went after absentee voting, making it harder to vote by absentee, requiring photo ID, having shorter deadlines, going after the drop boxes that we use, making it harder to access those drop boxes, making it harder to have a vote count if you have accidentally voted the wrong precinct. That's also what Election Protection is working on this year, is making sure that voters know what the barriers are, have a plan to address those barriers so we can push back against the backlash to our participation.
What we want voters to know is that the Lawyers Committee has a national network of election protection coalitions who have a streamlined process of opportunities for volunteers to become poll monitors. We want Black women to show up at the polls with us to help us poll monitor for the 2024 general election. I am spearheading our national voting rights campaign, Oho Ashe. Oho Ashe is a Lawyers Committee Election Protection 2024 initiative that aims to engage, recognize, and educate people about how they can be a part of the solution in protecting our democratic process. Ashe is derivative of Yoruban dialect, meaning a blessing of the ancestors. Oho meaning I. Together, Oho Ashe means the ancestors are blessing us and watching us as we take on this poll monitor effort for the general election. I can't help but think about what our ancestors would have done with a resource and a tool like this when they were mass mobilizing for the future of voting rights. When I was creating the campaign Oho Ashe, it was important for me to incorporate the work of the Black women who came before me and contributed to our democracy today.
When you think about this election, don't think just about a candidate. It's not about them, it's about us. Let your vote be your voice, and let your voice be heard loud and clear.